Today in Israel's north, a massive drone exploded, injuring 18 Israelis. Also, did Joe Biden personally give the green light to Iran to attack Israel this last weekend? We're going to get into that. Also, Turkey is now joining Hamas. I'm Ben, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome back to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Thank you so much for joining us once again here on YouTube. Don't forget, if you have a comment, drop it down below, or a question, and I'll do my best to answer it as soon as I can. Also, I know we say this on every single show, but please, please, please consider joining us in Nashville for our Israel Summit coming up very soon in May. It's your chance to physically stand with the nation and people of Israel. TheIsraelGuys.com/summit is where you can find all of that information. The link is also down in the description below. Israel still has not responded to the massive Iranian attack on Israeli soil that happened over this last weekend. They've been very clear that they will respond, but the response has not happened yet. This is keeping Iran on edge. Iran's military is on a high state of alert. Iran has been taking all kinds of precautionary emergency measures across Syria, and Hezbollah is also on high alert. Israel has been very clear that a response will come. They've made this clear, but they've not been clear as to timing for obvious reasons. A lot of people are confused and concerned, and list goes on as to why Israel has not responded to Iran. But I think it's a good thing. Israel would have gained nothing by a direct immediate response on Iran, because Iran was on a high state of alert, high state of preparedness to receive that response from Israel. So they wouldn't have had the element of surprise. And by waiting, Israel's conducting psychological warfare on Iran, because now they have to maintain a high state of alertness and preparedness for this attack. There's a certain amount of dread. There's a certain amount of, millions of dollars in military funds as they maintain a state of alertness that they wouldn't have otherwise. And Israel can keep it going all day long, if you ask me. Israel, like I said, has been very clear that a strike will come, but not as to timing. There are a number of possibilities as to what this strike from Israel on Iranian soil could look like. They could either strike back really hard, which is what most people think will happen, on Iranian oil refineries, take out nuclear reactors, military infrastructure. They have the capability to do this whenever they want to. They could bide their time, train, prepare, rehearse, hit Iran when they think their guard is the lowest, whenever they want to do. They could do this, or they could do some sort of symbolic strike on Iranian soil to say we retaliated, then use the impetus of this war that Iran has started to finish their enemies in the north, to finish Hezbollah, and to finish Hamas as well, which may be a smarter move for Israel overall, because they have to finish these enemies at some point, and when they have the momentum going, they might as well do it now rather than later. So Israel could be taking this time to train, rehearse, prepare for that. But I don't know. I don't have contacts inside of the Israeli government that are telling me their plans, obviously, but those are possibilities that they could pursue. There's a report from Reuters that dropped that Iran told Turkey in advance, before the attack that happened this last weekend, so late last week, told Turkey to pass on to the United States the plans for their attack. Joe Biden responded to Iran through Turkey that the attack could go forward as long as it was within certain limits, and those limits were not specified by Reuters. If this is true, this is insane. This is patently insane. The U.S. is playing a very, very dangerous foreign policy game where they tell Iran, sure, you can attack Israel, you can save face, you can, save face for your terrorist regime inside of Iran by making a symbolic attack on the state of Israel, but also we'll defend the state of Israel from your symbolic attack that we greenlit. A symbolic attack that involved, I believe, 60 tons of munitions, 60 tons of explosives dropped over the state of Israel that Israel and the United States and their allies were able to defend against, thank God, and an extraordinary miracle. We were talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of munitions being dropped over the state of Israel that could have caused untold numbers, thousands of civilian deaths, if not tens of thousands. It's a very, very dangerous game that the United States is playing, that we're gambling with lives here, the lives of our allies, the lives of our friends. It's horrible. It really is horrible. In other news, earlier this morning, a kamikaze drone from Hezbollah hit a community center in a Bedouin village in Israel's north. Originally, report was that there were 14 wounded and that were evacuated to the hospital. Now that number, it seems like, is up to 18. I think 4 or 5 were in critical condition. The Hezbollah came out and took responsibility for the strike, and they said that the drone was a very heavy one and it had a high amount of explosives. You can see the video here of the drone incoming and then the explosion here from another angle. Israel is doing strikes in response right now in Lebanon earlier today, and also I believe continuing even right now. This is a reminder that war with Hezbollah is still very active. The world is trying to pretend that war with Hezbollah is not happening because it's been kept low-key as of this point, but upwards of 70,000 Israelis, I believe, are still evacuated from their homes on the northern border, still living with friends and in hotels in central Israel, which is not sustainable. And there are constant attacks from Hezbollah over the border into Israel all the time on military targets and also civilian targets as well. Hezbollah is illegally occupying no man's land on the border, making the situation untenable long-term for the state of Israel, meaning that at some point Israel's going to have to act to remove Hezbollah from the border, and it's just a matter of time as to when and how they carry that out. In a minute, we're going to get into how Turkey, speaking of Turkey, just a minute ago, carrying messages from Iran to the state of Israel, to the United States. Turkey is now joining with Hamas in the struggle to destroy the Jews from the face of the earth. We're going to get into that in just a second. But first, let me tell you about one of the best ways to support Israel right now. Our friends at Blessed by Israel ship the beautiful products of small businesses and families from Israel's heartland to people all around the world. You can buy the wonderful tastes, smells, and goodness of the Promised Land, and Blessed by Israel will ship them straight to your doorstep. Check out the amazing extra virgin olive oil, savory spices, cosmetics, hand creams, soaps, lotions, chocolate, coffee, and much more. The best part about this is that at the same time as you enjoy the goodness of the land of Israel, you are also blessing the faithful pioneers who are restoring and rebuilding Judea and Samaria. That's right, your purchases are an effective way to contribute to the strengthening of Israel. So head over to Blessed by Israel, that's blessedbyisrael.com, to buy the wonderful products of Israel's heartland and support the pioneers of Judea and Samaria. Again, that is blessedbyisrael.com. The link is down in the description below. So back to Turkey and their alliance with Hamas. Allegedly, Turkish President Erdogan just said the following, quote, "There's no difference between the Turkish national forces in the War of Independence and the Hamas movement now. We know the weight these things have." This comes as no surprise, as we just talked about with Turkey's involvement with Iran. Turkey, does currently have an agreement, a kind of understanding with the state of Israel, but recently, and in the last couple of years, they've been kind of inching more and more towards open aggression to the state of Israel. The Turkish president actually just called Ismail Haniyeh, which was one of the top leaders of Hamas, and when his 3 sons were killed in a drone strike by the state of Israel, in a military operation. One of the sons was actually holding hostages, and they're involved in Hamas operations. So Israel targeted them and killed all 3 in a single drone strike. The president of Turkey, Erdogan, called the father, one of the main leaders of Hamas, the political leader of Hamas, Ismail, and gave his condolences. He said on the phone call, "Israel will definitely be held accountable before the law for the crimes against humanity it committed in killing terrorists." The crimes against humanity is killing terrorists. After Iran's attack this last weekend, Erdogan said that Bibi was solely responsible for Iran's attack. So, yeah, take that. And that's a crazy statement. It was also just announced that Ismail will be visiting Turkey for talks with Erdogan. So crazy stuff happening there. Erdogan making an open alliance with Hamas. saying that there's no difference between Turkish national forces and Hamas's movement in the war of independence for Palestinians, I guess, against the state of Israel. Does this mean that Turkey's going to throw their military weight behind Hamas and Hezbollah? I have no idea. I sincerely hope not, for Israel's sake and also for Turkey's sake, because I have no doubt that it would not end well for Turkey. Continue to pray for Israel during these turbulent times. They need your prayers now more than ever. Stand with the state of Israel when you can. If you can, join us in Nashville at the end of May. The link is down in the description below. Also, buy the products of the pioneers in Judea and Samaria from blessedbyisrael.com. The link is also in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe, get the conversation going. As always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.